Have you ever had someone steal your dream, look you right in the eye, and call you crazy for being upset? That is exactly what happened to me. The email came in at 7:43 on a Tuesday morning, just as sunlight was spilling through my kitchen window. I was stirring cream into my coffee when I saw the subject line, Wedding Venue Confirmation. Harrington Grand Hotel. For a second, I smiled. Then I saw the name on the reservation. Chloe Sterling. My sister. The same sister who had laughed when I told her I had booked that very venue 8 months ago. The same one who had said it was too expensive for me anyway, and that I should stick to something smaller, more realistic. I reread the email 3 times, certain it was a mistake. But there it was. The deposit, the date, the signature. She had copied my entire plan down to the day, even the ballroom I had spent months fighting to reserve. My hand shook as I set the mug down. Coffee splashed across the counter, dark and bitter. Somewhere in the distance, a neighbor's dog barked, and the sound felt sharper than usual. The room tilted just slightly, and I thought, she really did it. I called her before I could think. "Chloe," I said when she picked up. Her voice was breathless, cheerful. "Hey, I was just about to call you," she said. "You will not believe it. I got the Harrington." I took a slow breath. "Yeah," I said. "I saw." There was a pause. "Oh," she said, realizing. "Listen, do not be mad. They said your deposit was still pending. So technically it was not locked in." "Pending?" I asked quietly. "You mean the deposit I sent 8 months ago?" She laughed, the same airy, dismissive sound she used when we were kids. "Oh, come on, Claire. It is not like you own the place. And besides, we are family. I am sure you will find somewhere else. You always land on your feet." My jaw clenched. "Chloe, that venue was my dream. I spent months planning." "Do not start, okay?" She cut me off, her tone sharp. "Now you are overreacting. It is just a building." For a moment, I could not speak. "You are being so dramatic. You are engaged, I am engaged. Why cannot we both be happy?" "Because happiness does not usually come from stealing someone else's," I wanted to say. Instead, I said nothing. She filled the silence easily. "Anyway, I invited Mom to tour it with me this afternoon. You should come. Maybe it will help you move on." Move on. When the call ended, I stood in the middle of my kitchen, staring at the quiet hum of the refrigerator. I had never noticed how small my apartment felt until that moment. On the counter sat the wedding binder I had built. Photos of floral arches, gold accents, the map of the ballroom layout I had obsessed over. I closed it slowly, pressing down until the pages bent under my palm. I told myself to be reasonable. People made mistakes. But deep down, I knew Chloe never did anything without calculation. She had been doing this since we were kids. Taking the last cookie, the front seat, the spotlight. That afternoon, I drove past the Harrington Grand. The building glittered against the skyline, its white stone gleaming. I parked across the street and watched through the glass doors as Chloe walked in, arm hooked through Mom's. Mom was glowing, camera phone out, snapping pictures like her daughter had just bought the place. I stayed in the car, my fingers gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. When they came back out, Mom was still laughing. Chloe tossed her hair, looking radiant, triumphant. She spotted my car. Then, just for a second, our eyes met. She waved like nothing was wrong. Like this was normal. Like stealing was just another form of love. That night, Mom called. "Sweetheart," she began in that soft, careful tone she used whenever she thought I was about to cry. "I heard about the venue. Chloe told me she felt terrible. She really did not mean for it to upset you. She just acted fast. She has always been impulsive." "Mom, I booked that place 8 months ago." She knew. "Honey, she is under a lot of stress. The wedding is coming up. And mine was coming up too." There was a pause. I could picture her frowning, lips pursed the way they always were when she wished I would just stay quiet. "You know how Chloe is," she said finally. "It is better not to cause a scene." "'Cause a scene?" I laughed softly. "She took my wedding venue, Mom." Her voice hardened. "You are making this into something bigger than it needs to be. Maybe it is time you stop competing with your sister. She has always looked up to you, but you push her away." That was the moment I realized she had already picked a side. Maybe she always had. After she hung up, I sat there in the dark, staring at my reflection in the window. For 34 years, I had been told to be the bigger person. The calmer one. The quieter one. But all that ever did was make me smaller. The next morning, I went through my folders and contracts. Every document, every receipt tied to the Harrington was still in my name. Every payment traceable to me. Chloe had taken the stage, but I still owned the lights. I stared at the stack of paperwork and felt something shift inside me. A stillness that was not peace, but clarity. They called me dramatic, bitter, overreactive. Maybe this time they would call me something else. I closed my laptop, poured a new cup of coffee, and whispered to the empty room, "Let us see how perfect she looks without the flowers." It was not rage I felt. It was balance. Cold, quiet, deliberate balance. And for the first time in years, I was not the one being erased. I was the one holding the pen. Maya showed up around noon, carrying bagels and an expression that said she had already heard the gossip. "You look like someone just told you Christmas was canceled," she said, dropping her purse on my counter. I gestured to the laptop. "My sister stole my wedding." Maya blinked. "Okay, you are going to need to start from the beginning." I told her everything. The email, the call, the tour, Mom's defense. When I finished, she whistled low. "Wow, that is impressively evil. So, what is the plan? Are you going to confront her? Lawyer up? Or maybe show up in a red dress on her big day and toast to poetic irony?" I laughed, a brittle sound. "No. I am done confronting people who already decided I am the villain." Maya studied me for a long moment. "You have got that look again. The one that means you're about to do something dangerously calm." That night, I opened every folder connected to my wedding. The hotel contract, catering, florals, photography, live music. All in my name. Chloe had not even bothered to change that part. She probably assumed everything would just magically switch over when she waved her credit card. I scrolled through the confirmation emails, each one marked active under Claire Montgomery. She had taken my venue, my design, my dream day. But technically, legally, it was still mine. I clicked the first email. Harrington Grand. I hovered over cancel reservation. My finger did not shake. One click. Then another. Then another. Each confirmation tone sounded softer, sweeter. Like the quiet tick of balance returning. The florist, the caterer, the string quartet. Gone. Refund request processed to my account. When I finished, I leaned back and stared at the screen. My reflection looked unfamiliar. Colder, maybe. Steadier, definitely. I whispered, let her have her big day. The next morning, Mom called. "I wanted to talk about Chloe's registry," she began cheerfully. "Do you think silver or gold serving sets are more timeless?" I almost laughed. "You are really calling me about gifts?" "Well, you're her sister," she said, as if that explained everything. "Right, the sister she stole from." Her tone turned sharp. "Claire, do not start that again. You know she did not mean it maliciously. She copied my wedding down to the date, Mom. Honestly, sweetheart, you're overreacting. You always have such a flair for drama." The words stung more than I wanted to admit. I said quietly, "You taught me that silence keeps the peace. It just does not keep the self." "What is that supposed to mean?" she snapped. "It means maybe peace was never the point." I hung up before she could reply. The next morning, I woke early and opened my inbox. A dozen emails sat waiting. Confirmation receipts, refund approvals, polite thank you notes from vendors wishing me the best in my future events. I read them like a prayer. Around lunchtime, Maya stopped by with coffee. "Let me guess, you have been planning something," she said. "Unplanning, actually," I admitted. "I canceled everything. Every contract, every vendor, every reservation under my name." She froze. "Jesus, Claire. That is extreme." I shrugged. Chloe said I was bitter. Maybe she should find out what bitter really looks like. Maya stared at me, speechless for a moment, then exhaled slowly. "You know, part of me wants to talk you out of it. But the rest of me wants front row seats." 14 days until the Harrington was supposed to be filled with flowers, music, and champagne. 14 days until every lie she told would meet the truth she ignored. When my phone finally buzzed with her name, my thumb hovered over ignore, but curiosity won. Claire, she said, breathless. Weird question. Did you do something with the Harrington contract? They are saying they do not have an active reservation. There must be a mix-up. Did you change the payment info? I stayed quiet. Then I said, my voice even, Chloe, do not play dumb. You booked it under your name. I did, I said. 8 months ago. There was silence on the line, followed by a hiss of disbelief. You did not. I did. Why? Why would you do something so cruel? You called me bitter, I said softly. You called me dramatic. Maybe I just believed you. Chloe's breath caught. You are insane. Maybe, I said. But at least now I am finally unpredictable. I hung up before she could respond. The room felt strangely still after that. No guilt, no thrill. Just quiet. The kind of quiet that fills a space once lies have been vacuumed out. The morning of Chloe's wedding arrived quietly, wrapped in gray clouds and the kind of cold that seeps under your skin. I woke before dawn, not because I wanted to, but because my body had been counting down to this moment like a clock I could not turn off. The city outside was hushed, as if it knew something was about to break. I brewed coffee, sat by the window, and watched the fog roll off the lake. It was strange. After everything, I did not feel giddy or vengeful. Just still. My phone lit up with notifications. Maya had sent a string of texts. It is happening. They are at the Harrington. Chloe looks frantic. Another message followed seconds later. The guests are already there. No one knows what is going on. I set the phone down, staring at the pale reflection of my face in the window. For years I had been the invisible one. The quiet one. And now, on the day she had taken everything from me, she was the one surrounded by silence. It was not revenge that filled the air. It was symmetry. The next buzz on my phone was a video message from Maya. My thumb hovered before I pressed play. The video opened to chaos. The Harrington ballroom, empty of decorations. No flowers, no music, no catering. Just rows of confused guests, shifting uncomfortably under crystal chandeliers. Chloe stood in the middle of the room, her white dress bright against the dull marble, shouting at someone off camera. Maya's voice whispered from behind the camera, "They are saying the venue was canceled weeks ago, under your name." I paused the video. My throat tightened. Not from guilt. Something else. The ache of recognition. I had spent years being erased from family pictures, and now I had erased myself from theirs entirely. When the phone rang, I answered. Claire. Chloe's voice was raw, shrill. What did you do? I stayed quiet. You canceled everything. The hotel, the food, the flowers, everything. Are you insane? I took a slow breath. You mean the venue you stole from me? You are unbelievable, she spat. You are ruining my life. You ruined it yourself, I said calmly. You just did not notice until the camera stopped rolling. There was silence on the line. I could hear muffled voices in the background. The murmur of confusion, the scraping of chairs. 250 guests were standing there, watching her perfect narrative crack. People are laughing at me, she whispered finally. Mom is crying. Dad is furious. Is that what you wanted? What I wanted, I said softly, was for someone to finally understand what it feels like to be invisible. You're sick, she hissed. No, I said. I am awake. The line went dead. For a long time, I sat in silence. My heart was not racing, my hands were not shaking. I had expected the moment to feel bigger, to burn brighter. But it did not. It felt simple. Clean. Like setting down a weight I did not know I had been carrying. By noon, the internet had started to whisper. A few guests had already posted about the disaster. Bride left standing in empty ballroom. Rumor is the sister pulled the plug. The irony was not lost on me. For years, I had been background noise in my family's narrative. Now, suddenly, I was the headline. That night, Liam showed up unannounced. He walked in, still in his work clothes, his tie loosened, his eyes unreadable. I saw the video, he said. He took a few steps closer. You really did it. Yes. He rubbed the back of his neck. I do not know if I should be impressed or terrified. You think this is the end? No, I said. It is the beginning. of the silence they forced me to live in. Now they get to hear how loud it really is. He smiled faintly. You have changed. I have just stopped apologizing. 3 days after the wedding disaster, the world had already moved on, but my family had not. The headlines had faded, but the silence between us had turned to stone. It started with a letter. When I opened the mailbox that morning, it was there. A white envelope, no return address, my name written in my mother's careful cursive. Claire, you have embarrassed this family beyond words. Chloe may never recover from what you have done. Your father and I are humiliated. We raised you better than this. You have proven that spite will always win over love in your heart. Until you understand the pain you have caused, please do not contact us. It was not signed Love, Mom. Just her name. Eleanor. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at it. I read it twice, then folded it back into the envelope. Not out of care, but out of habit. I placed it in the drawer where I kept unpaid bills and broken pens. Somewhere it belonged, with things that took from me and never gave back. I picked up my camera. I began a photography series. Not about weddings or perfection, but about reclamation. About what happens when you stop trying to belong. I titled the collection Uninvited. The images were of empty rooms, raw faces, the quiet aftermath of chaos. Each one told a piece of my story. A few weeks later, I stood in a small downtown gallery. The walls were lined with my past turned into art. The opening night was crowded with strangers, people who looked at my pain and found their own reflections in it. It was humbling. For the first time in my life, being seen did not feel dangerous. Halfway through the event, the gallery curator rushed over. There is someone here asking for you, she said. Older woman. Says she is your mother. My stomach dropped. I had not expected her to show up. When I turned, Eleanor was standing by the far wall, dressed in her usual perfection. Beige coat, pearl earrings, composure sculpted like marble. Her eyes scanned the photos around her, her jaw tightening slightly each time she recognized a memory. I walked toward her slowly. Mom. She turned, her face unreadable. So it is true, she said. You turned our family into a spectacle. It is not about you, I said evenly. It is about what you taught me to hide. She looked around the room, voice low but sharp. Do you have any idea how humiliating this is? People are talking. They have always talked, I said. I just stopped trying to please them. Her eyes flickered. For the first time, I saw something like uncertainty cross her face. You think this makes you strong? It makes you cruel. Maybe, I said. But at least I am not silent. She glanced at a photo hanging behind me. The self-portrait I had taken the night of Chloe's wedding. You look small, she said quietly. I said. Because I was still trying to fit into a picture you approved of. She opened her mouth, but no words came. Instead, she looked away. Chloe does not deserve what you did. She deserved honesty, I said. And so did I. Her eyes met mine again. Cold, calculating. But this time, there was something else there too. A fracture. A flicker of something that looked like fear, or maybe regret. She did not answer. She just stood there, staring at the walls, surrounded by truths she could not rearrange. By the time I turned back from taking a photo with a guest, she was gone. I had once been the sister left out, the daughter silenced, the woman accused of being too much. Now, I was the storyteller, the artist, the proof that light does not ask permission to exist. I stepped out of the gallery that night, the city lights reflecting in the damp streets. For the first time in my life, the silence did not scare me. It felt like home. Tell me in the comments where you are watching from, and if you have ever had to fight for your own light. Because if you have, then you already know your glow was never theirs to dim.